everyone, and welcome to this segment of Industry Insights by G2, which features hot takes and actionable advice from business leaders around the world. This is an interview with Crystal Hoecker, the Director of Marketing at Docubee, a contract automation platform. My name is Alexandra Vasquez. I am a Senior Content Marketing Specialist at G2, and I'm so excited to share this interview with you all and to speak with you today, Crystal. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Today, Crystal and I will be discussing a recent rebrand over at Docubee, her learnings throughout the process, and her strategies for success. So let's just jump right into it. Crystal, please tell us a little bit about what exactly changed in the rebrand and what initially sparked the need for one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've been here with this company for 6 years now. So 5 of those years were whenever this product was called ontask.io. So I came in and it had this name. The product was about a year old, and I came in to do marketing, and it just felt like a consistent uphill battle. And I always had it in the back of my mind. I started even trying to purchase the the domains for ontask.com because I felt so strongly. And I spent about 2 years on that battle, and it just didn't seem like it was worth the investment. So that was all happening in the back of my brain. And then we did decide, as many startups, we were such a product that could help so many people in so many ways, which is a blessing and a curse as a product. So we decided to start fine-tuning a big portion of our product to support contract and automated document processes for specific types of processes. So we started doing a huge messaging project to switch over to be a little bit more geared to contract and agreement processes. We were already in the throes of that, which was a huge undertaking of itself. It was a whole website project, and we were changing everything about it. So in that, but we were still on task.io, and the impetus of it was we were actually at a trade show, and we were having issues with our booth. And the only thing that we had available that while that fiasco was getting ready was our tablecloth that said on task.io with our little brand of a checkbox. And I just turned it into a research for my personal annoyances with the brand, and everybody came up, they're like, what do you do? And I answered it with, what do you think we do, based on our name alone. And I ran that for about 45 minutes, and it was the most validating 45 minutes of my life. So I came back, I worked with leadership, and I said, hey, you know how we're doing this massive remessaging project? What do we think about rebranding the whole thing as well? And I made the case, and everybody agreed with it, and we started to take action really quickly. We found an agency. We doubled down on that project because I wasn't changing my project deadline. I just added a rebrand to it. The team was thrilled.
That's crazy. I didn't know that part, so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, along with that part, I'm sure that might be part of the answer to this next question. But I'd love to get just a little more specific on first things first, when you're looking at a project like this, what comes to mind as far as the biggest concerns or risks that you knew you were going to have to navigate when you committed to the rebrand?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first things first, we had to figure out what we wanted it to be and get amongst leadership, get everybody bought in before it started rolling out. We had to secure a name that was worth the effort of all of this. It's not very easy to secure something that makes sense that hasn't already been taken. So doing that, and we started building a mini brand around it to present the idea. So I just had to get it out there enough to get people on my side. And it didn't take long to get leadership on my side, which was great. But then after I did, figuring out a way to roll it out to all the teams and the expectations of teams, that was a struggle, and that was something I had to navigate in real time because I had never done this before. But it was met with, this was people's babies. People have been with this product since the day it was born 6, 7 years ago. So it was like taking their child away when they first heard about it. But we navigated through some emotions, and then we got everybody on a cohesive, working project management sheet. And I just turned into a project manager and got all the teams on board and aligned, and heavy communication, heavy accountability. That was the only way to make it work. And bringing a lot of positive energy along the way. Bringing Docubee was fun because we got to use bee puns throughout the way. and it just added a little comical relief to every stressful situation. There's so many, it's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't want to grace over that one sentence, getting buy-in from everybody. Easier said than done. So I'd love to ask you a little bit more about what that process was like. How did you make sure that, I mean, marketing, sales, product, you said you had to really pitch this to leadership too. How did you make sure that everyone was aligned on this?
Well, I covertly went to a bunch of agencies and to some team members and asked them what they thought the effort would be. And I tried to get a budget, an idea, an expected timeline. So I pitched it saying that I was going to do a little bit. And then as soon as I got all the buy-in, I was like, I'm doing phase 1 and 2 for phase 1 because I have a dream team and a dream team agency and I know we can do it. But getting that buy-in, it wasn't hard to make the case of why ontask.io wasn't helping us. The sales team was falling all over themselves when they were met. What do you do? Are you like monday.com? No, we're not. Everybody thought we were a task list, and overcoming that at the beginning of every conversation was so hard. So everybody knew we had to change to something. And whenever we were changing, I almost put contract in the name. But we worked really hard to make that an intentional decision to make it a document-based name to spread into everything we know we will be, and that's on our roadmap as well. So once we explained what we were doing, why we wanted to do it, and the amount of work it would take from everyone, it wasn't hard to get everybody to buy in because I was very graceful. I asked everybody what could they do. I didn't come to them with a hard deadline and say, you have to do this. I came with them with the why, the passion, the excitement, and I asked what worked within their roadmap, what was realistic for them. So it made them feel seen and heard and appreciated. And then we all put the plan together in tandem. So I think going to everybody and saying this is a directive, we're doing this whether you like it or not, would have been bad. Making everybody feel a part of the process was really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think it also, I'm sure it helped at every stage because everyone was so integrated into the process where there were no surprises, nobody was taken off guard, everyone kind of knew what was expected of them. So I'm sure that made the process a lot easier too. And I love what you mentioned earlier about asking consumers directly, what do you think we do? I think that's great, and I think it's smart.
Powerful question.
Yeah, and I think that's great, and I'm sure that was probably next on the list of like, okay, we're going through a rebrand internally, we're all synced. How did you make sure that how did you involve external people in the process, customers, partners, stakeholders? How did you make sure that they were also aligned with where the rebrand was going?
Yeah, we asked a few of them along the way. We started doing casual interviews with some of them just as it related to their satisfaction with us and things like that. So we were able to casually ask some very specific customers. And we have some partners that, we go to battle together every day. So there's a high level of trust with those guys. And as soon as we mentioned that we were considering this, they were like, oh, thank goodness, this is going to help everyone. And we're like, okay. So we didn't feel the need to it seemed so obvious once we made the decision and it was in our heart and soul. And I did some of the consumer research. And then I just started asking when people asked what I did for a living, which my grandma asks me every single time she sees me, and my father. It's in one ear and out the other. But even just saying, I do marketing for ontask.io, what do you think we do? It just became my little test for a month. And I just started writing down all of the answers. And then I started hearing back from our SDR team where they struggled. And I was listening to call recordings and I could tell just the stumbling over that answer shouldn't be that big of a struggle. For a SaaS product that's an end user product, a B2B as well, it shouldn't be that hard. So I knew it was a mountain that we could climb easily if we just came up with the right name and the right brand to overcome it with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that kind of segues into the next question a little bit. And you touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but I'd love to get even deeper into the real motivation of the change and what kind of what you were hoping to gain from it. As far as your brand story, what was there a specific brand story or messaging that you wanted to really reinforce with this new identity of Docubee?
I mean, yes, and as we were bringing the contract story to life, I needed a better way to do that. The brand story that lived behind OnTask.io was very forced. It didn't click, and we couldn't make it resonate, even with our customers who wanted it to resonate. They were just like, no, you're just great. We just use you because you're a great technology, not anything to do with your brand. But I know that brand advocacy means so much in the brand loyalty and to build that in. So as we were trying to tell this contract story with On Task, I was struggling to make that story make sense. And whenever we switched over to Docubee, a lot of just things clicked. Like, oh, this is how it works. Oh, the bee flies through the process. It's the same way that people would expect to go through these processes. And you can go in and out, and the worker bees and the people who, the admins, and it all just started clicking with what you could actually do within our product as well. So as soon as we really laid a bunch of the foundation of what it is we were trying to do from this messaging project that already existed with the new brand, it just, the intersection was great. And then we were also having sales troubles. Like, we weren't hitting our sales goals. I could tell the enthusiasm and, energy was out. And as the head of marketing, I own that. I don't know why I decide to own the energy of our entire product, but I do. And we needed something to bring us life again. And again, as soon as we got through some of the emotions of losing On Task, everybody was 100% in, 100% in. And we had a wake for On Task. Like, we did a respectful parting with the brand to appreciate everything it did and what it served us to get it where it was, and to, we did all of that, and it was really funny and it was great. And it was all a lot of it was during COVID too. The end of that, tail end of all of that. So it worked on a lot of fronts. It's helped sales, it helped us tell our story better, and it's helped people just identify with us more quickly, and it makes us more memorable, which is what we needed. OnTask.io wasn't memorable for anything you wanted to be remembered for, but it served a really strong purpose to get us where we needed, and it laid a fantastic foundation product-wise. We just needed a brand to help bring that product to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell just from all your answers that this was a really big passion project for you. So
My baby.
I love to see all the different ways that you made sure that this was such a collaborative and seen as a really positive experience for everybody. But I'd love to now skip forward to today.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot, I'm sure, in this process, a lot that we've heard, a lot that I'm sure if this was like 10 times longer, you could keep going. But I'd love to ask you, after over a year of strongly marketing Docubee, how would you define success for the rebrand, and what kind of metrics mattered most to you throughout the process?
Yeah. Um, it's After a full year, in December, we actually ran a brand research with a third party to kind of to set a new benchmark for what people understand Docubee to be based on specific target industries. And the feedback from that was great. Like, 1 year in, we have brand awareness. I feel like 6 years in with the old brand, I still didn't have that. So to be able to accomplish that in 1 year and some of those results was great. But the stuff that really I'm able to see traffic and tie it all back to some of the rebrand is our direct website traffic has gone up. So now that we have this new brand, we've done a lot of brand awareness campaigns where they're going directly to docubee.com. Everything else we do, as any marketer knows, it's going to a landing page, a very specific place. Brand awareness happens with just your homepage and your primary domain. And we've watched that go up about 250% since we started actively doing heavy brand awareness campaigns in like late fall. We were just trying to establish it, make sure all of our content was wrapped up. So that was a lot of what H1 was. And then H2, we pulled the throttle up on getting our name out there. So we've watched website traffic go up, like I said, for the direct traffic. All of that, we've had about a 240% increase of leads from things we can attribute to some of the brand awareness activities that we've done. And we've already seen 10, 20 deals start to close. So not only that, where it's the source of some of the brand awareness, we hear all the time. Trade shows are so much easier. Our sales life is so much easier. Being able to move deals through and get to a decision maker or a decision or just have a more fruitful conversation more quickly. So watching all of that, watching the pipeline we're able to build, the more qualified leads we're able to do from inbound and outbound, we're watching a ton of factors, and every single one of them leads to me feeling so great about the decision to rebrand. Even though it may have taken a few years off of my life, it was the right decision.
Okay, fine. That's good. I'm glad it feels good for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I'm glad to hear that so much of that work that was put into it, you came out the other side feeling really, really positive about the outcome. And I wanted to throw in one another question, a little about the those outcomes. Was there anything particularly surprising to you throughout the process? In the outcomes, was there something you weren't expecting from the rebrand?
A lot of things. I mean, being able to watch the year over year traction, and I expected it to be a recovery year coming off of On Task. I didn't We set goals that were still growth goals as it related to everything from inbound, outbound, paid, everything that you would track in that arena. But I expected a lot of excuses as to why we were falling. Oh, all it did was go up. Our hockey stick went up the whole year. It had a few ebbs and flows, but it still went up and it's continuing to do so. Um, I would love to see revenue directly tie back to brand awareness. That's not a reality all the time, but I am starting to watch everything tick up. And the main thing I can attribute it to is so many of the new activities marketing has led and helped to bring this product to life. We're now doing videos, we're streaming video and audio. We're doing a lot of physical presence. Even outbound is just easier. Being able to do all of that and watch the impact that it's having, you can't discount it. You can't say that this rebrand hasn't made an impact. Looking at all of our numbers back on the back end, you really can't. And it's been so fun to bring this brand to life. You couldn't bring a check mark to life. I tried. We talked about like a dog named Checkers, and it didn't work. But we brought this one to life, and our bee is Ziggy, and he's a mascot, and he is a fan favorite, and it's been really, really fun, and it'll continue to be fun.
That's amazing, and congratulations, truly, to such an amazing initiative. And so I'd like to close it off with a little bit more of a general question, kind of speaking a little more directly to anyone who's watching this who's maybe considered a rebrand, or maybe after a couple of things you said today, you might have sparked an idea for them. Do you see branding as something that constantly needs to evolve? Or do you think once you really hit that mark, hit that Docubee moment, do you think it's more important to establish that long-term identity?
I think it's a blend. I think it's a solid blend. I think you have to keep core components for brand consistency. Once you've established who you are, why you are, the values people can associate with your brand, but brand should evolve. Times change, your target markets may change. We find product market fit in different areas all the time. So we need to cater towards what they expect and need and speak their language, which comes up from a brand perspective as well. Um, I I don't mark anything as done. Everything is a process in marketing. Everything can be optimized. We're a much more data-based driven company than I think that we were able to be years ago, because now we have data to track now that we have a little longevity, and just taking that data and making decisions as it relates to our brand and messaging and the types of content people want to absorb and change our tact with that. It's important, and you have to do it to stay relevant with the audience, with your customers, and with prospects. So our work is never done in branding, but it's a much more fun uphill battle that we're taking on now. It's much more worth it, but it's never done.